Love is a passion of the concupiscible appetite, and it's the first of all emotions. Love seeks union with the thing that is beloved. Love is the most important emotion because we do everything for the sake of an end, i.e., the good of the thing that or the thing loved. The purpose of our lives is ordered by our love. If someone wants to make a substantial change in their life, such as in recovery, they will have to change what they love. Love is the foundation of our emotional life, in that all other emotions are moved by love. It is love that moves the irascible appetite. Love moves hope because one hopes for the love one does not yet have. Despair is knowing one will never attain the thing loved. It causes fear when that which is loved is in danger. It causes anger when that which is loved is harmed. It causes desire and one seeks to obtain that which is loved. It causes delight and one takes delight in the possession of the thing loved. And it is the cause of sorrow since one sorrows at not obtaining the thing loved. There are two types of love: concupiscible love and the love of friendship. Concupiscible love is selfish, in that one loves something for their own benefit. In love of friendship, one goes out of themselves and loves the good of another, as if it were their own good. Love of self is necessary, but it can be ordered or disordered, and it depends on the termination of this love is internal or external. If I love myself because I am a creature of God and for the greater good around me, this love is ordered and will have the consequence of me seeking out virtue within myself. If I love myself for my own sake, this is disordered and will lead me to seek pleasure within myself. The emotions of desire and delight dominate the life of the alcoholic. Desire is an inclination towards acquiring the thing loved not yet had, and one takes delight in the possession of the thing loved. Delight can cause desire through the memory. When one remembers a delight in the past, this can inspire the desire to pursue the delight in the future. Desire can cause delight in that it inclines one to seek the good that one takes delight in. Desire can cause sorrow when one can't obtain which he desires, and the intensity of the sorrow is dependent on the intensity of the desire. Delight is the passion of quieting and rest in the present good. Therefore, when once the desired thing is had, there is a sensation of internal motion. The faculties are quiet. For the addict, this delight is brief before the desire rises again and even ceases altogether when the addict ingests a drug and experiences an inebriation, but the drug ceases to solve their problems. There are two types of desires, natural and unnatural. The desire for marriage and reproduction is in full conformity with our nature. The desire for drugs is not, for drugs damage us. Natural desires fulfill our nature and make us more human. Unnatural desires wound us. As far as desire and delight concern the cycle of addiction, it is obvious, and I don't need to say much about it as my reader can reflect on their own experience. But there is a component of desire and delight in the life of the alcoholic that is worth mentioning. Everyone has priorities in their life. Some things are more important than others, and some things are first. The egoists place themselves at the highest priority in life, their feelings and opinions. The egoist is driven by a desire to fill his distorted view of himself, to fulfill his distorted view of himself. The problem with that is that the egoist operates under a paradigm of selfishness that is contrary to nature and contrary to the truth. The egoist desires an untruth. In other words, he desires something that doesn't exist. Because of this, the egoist can never achieve what they desire. They experience no delight. Their faculties never come to a rest. There is no rest for the wicked, and there is no peace for the egoist. For example, the egoist may believe they are the smartest thing walking on two legs, and someone may compliment them and say they are indeed very smart. This compliment fulfills the ego somewhat, but is never good enough, and the egoist immediately starts searching for something else. Gratitude is opposed to egoism. If the alcoholic is to recover, he must develop a perspective and a thought pattern opposed to egoism. And an important part of this is gratitude. The humble man is grateful. The humble man knows he is not entitled. He recognizes that his life is not, that his life, that he is not merit, that he does not deserve. And because of his humility, what he has is good enough. And because of this, a humble and grateful man is able to achieve peace. Sorrow. Sorrow is an important passion in addiction and recovery. Sorrow isn't merely sadness, but is the emotion elicited by the presence of an evil or the loss of a good. Sorrow is the contrary of delight. Sorrow can be caused by pain, but differs from pain in that pain is in the present, while sorrow can be about the past, present, or future. Sorrow is sometimes called interior pain. Sorrow is caused by what is apprehended in the imagination and the senses. Again, as the loss of good or a presence of evil. Other emotions can cause sorrow. Hate is the cause of sorrow, as when the thing hated is present. Desire is the cause of sorrow when we do not get the good we desire. Despair can cause sorrow when we realize that we will never obtain the good or avoid the evil that is the object of despair. Fear is the cause of sorrow. If the evil fear comes to be, then one sorrows. Sorrow is a necessary emotion in addiction and recovery. It is the emotion of despair and sorrow that alone motivate the alcoholic to try to change his life and seek recovery. No other emotion or reasoning can do this. The bedrock of recovery is suffering. The addict must experience suffering to the point they find it intolerable before they are willing to do whatever it takes to recover. The addict can be very stubborn in this regard. Sorrow is a necessary part of recovery because in early recovery, the addict feels sorrow at the absence of his drug. There's no way around this. Recovery can promise that if you take action, you will be free from obsession, but the addict must experience discomfort around the absence of his drug. This sorrow gives rise to desire, which can cause relapse. When sorrow ceases as the result of step work, this is a sign that the emotional life of the addict is being ordered. Step work is necessary. Sorrow will not dissipate over time on its own. I know this from my attempts to recover without the step work. Sorrow can be a litmus test for emotional health. If we sorrow at the right things, it is a sign that our emotions are ordered by reason. If we sorrow at the wrong things, it is a sign of emotional dysfunction. For example, drugs are evil. It is disordered to sorrow at the loss of drugs. The sensation of sorrow around drugs shows that an important component of recovery is rectifying the emotions. Fear. Fear is an emotion of the irascible appetite, which pertains to a future evil that cannot be avoided. Fear presupposes powerlessness. We fear what we are powerless to avoid, either because of the magnitude of the evil or our personal weakness. The role of powerlessness in fear and addiction cannot be emphasized enough. The Big Book says that lack of power is our problem. The lack of power defines the cycle of addiction. But lack of power precedes our addiction, and in my opinion, fear is the main emotion that is responsible for the addict seeking drugs as a solution. For example, in my early 20s, I suffered a depression that lasted several years. I was in a lot of pain, and I didn't think the pain would ever end, and I was seriously considering ending my life. I owned guns, and I came frightening close to shooting myself one night. Eventually, the depression ended, but it left me with fear. I was afraid of the pain of my own mind I was afraid of the pain that my own mind was incapable of leashing upon me. I was afraid that despite my best effort, I was destined to commit suicide. I was afraid of my own mind, and this fear dominated me. It was under this emotional backdrop that I thought using heroin was a good idea. The problem isn't powerless and fear as such, but specifically powerless and fear that exists within the addict. It is the self that the addict fears. The natural reaction to fear is to flee from the thing feared. How do you flee from yourself? This is where alcohol enters the picture.